Hey guys, Tom here again from synthhacker.com and welcome back to another tutorial for Native Instruments Massive. In this video we're going to be looking at making a really nice kind of 80s style polysynth. I'm actually going to use the MIDI to demonstrate it from a Tame Impala track, which is a really cool band. Highly recommend you check those guys out. But yeah, this is going to be the sound that we're going to be looking at making. So a really lush, really nice, creamy key sound, like a polysynth. Like I said, it's like kind of got that like 80s style to it. And really, this is a really versatile sound. I mean, the chords there that I was playing were like quite happy and major, but you could honestly put like something like a completely different spin on this sound. You know, you could have it in the breakdown of something, you know, a little bit more gloomy and moody. It could really work in a lot of different genres, you know, like future bass, and just breakdowns to anything really. Really cool sound. We're going to be making it completely from scratch, of course. As always, guys, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out my website over at synthhacker.com if you want to get your hands on some Massive presets. I currently have a sale on my Massive Mega Pack, which contains over 500 presets in there, as well as a video course that I created for Massive as well. So definitely go ahead and check that out again over at synthhacker.com, or click the link in the description below. And also make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with new tutorials as well. But without further ado, didn't mean to bring that up. I always forget how to get rid of that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start working on this sound and making it from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go into the voicing tab. We're just going to increase the max voices, and what we're going to do is put the unison on 2 and keep it polyphonic. Obviously this is a polysynth, we want it to be polyphonic so we can play more than one note at the same time. And each oscillator is going to be outputting 2 voices because we've set unison to 2, and then we're just going to slightly detune these 2 voices as well with this pitch cutoff slider, as you can see there. Oscillator tab, you don't really need to worry about this too much. Sometimes vibrato automatically gets put on the sound. We don't really want a vibrato on this sound, so we're just going to take that off for now. It's kind of useless. But what we're going to do is start on the oscillators. So we're actually going to use 3 oscillators in the sound, or 3 normal oscillators and 1 noise oscillator. The wavetable we're going to be using is this VAPWM wavetable. For this first oscillator, we're going to keep it at the default pitch. We're going to have the pulse saw position all the way up. Pulse width we're going to put to about halfway. You can kind of fiddle with this to kind of get the tone that you want. Obviously, if you have quite a thin pulse width, then you're going to have quite a thin sound, whereas if you have a fat pulse width, it's going to start to sound a little bit more like a square wave. So it's completely up to you really. I found it sounded best about halfway. We're going to route this through filter 1, and then we're going to move into our second oscillator. Again, we're going to use just keep the default octave, but we are going to detune it slightly, just about 5 semitones, something like that. And again, we're going to use the VAPWM wavetable, but we're going to put the pulse saw position all the way to the left, and then what we're going to do is move the pulse width up a little bit. And keep the amplitude where it is, and also route this through filter 1 as well. And then finally, we're going to pitch oscillator 3 up just a few, not even a semitone, just a little bit, just to kind of detune the oscillators from one another. And we're going to actually keep this as just a saw wave with intensity full and amplitude full, and then just again routing that through filter 1. So we've got a lot of kind of rich harmonics being passed through the filters. from all these different oscillators that are slightly detuned from one another. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of just muddy kind of white noise in there as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of an analog feel as well. And again, we're just going to route that through filter 1. One thing that I did forget to do was set up an LFO on the pitch of oscillator 1. We're just gonna we're not gonna bother syncing it to the tempo of the track, and we're going to take restart off just so it's kind of like a free LFO. It's not restarting every time a note's pressed. And we're just going to turn this rate down a little bit, move the X fade curve up so it's just a sine LFO, and then what we're going to do is drag and drop it onto the pitch of oscillator 1. And what this is going to do is just kind of gradually, depending on the rate that you set, just detune oscillator 1 a little bit, which is really just a good tip in general for key sounds. If you detune them, it can really kind of thicken them up, make them sound, you know, much more interesting and definitely more analog as well. The other thing I think I did was just add a really subtle bit of feedback, and this is the sound that we have so far. So you can hear it's really kind of rich sound at the minute. There's a lot going on, but it doesn't quite resemble a key sound. And actually, this is a really good demonstration of subtractive synthesis and the whole kind of philosophy behind it. Obviously, this is a wavetable synthesizer, but it does follow the same rules as subtractive synthesis, which is starting off with something harmonically rich, and then kind of, if you imagine subtracting from it, so like kind of like you would with like a stone sculpture, what we're going to do now is slowly chip away at it until we subtract all the right things so that we end up with what we want. So one of the most common ways to do this, of course, is a filter. We're going to use a low-pass 4-pole filter, which is the most extreme filter out of these two. It's essentially a 24 BD roll-off filter. So we're going to boost the cutoff just a little bit. We're going to turn the resonance down a little bit, and then what we're going to do is set up our amplitude envelope to modulate the cutoff of the filter. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep the attack about where it is. We're going to bring the sustain right down to nearly 0. Increase the decay a little bit and give it a little bit of release as well, and then simply drag and drop this onto the filter cutoff. And now this will much more kind of resemble the sound that we're going for. You can also make this respond more accurately to velocity as well by just boosting this velocity parameter. So that's kind of the basics of the sound. What we're going to do now is dive into the effects section just to polish it up a little bit. What we're going to do is, first of all, add a chorus. I absolutely love chorus. It's an effect that I'm a bit obsessed with recently. It's just a really great way to thicken up a sound. It essentially uses a really kind of short delay, which kind of gives the illusion that the sound is thicker than it is, if that makes sense. So we're gonna use it quite subtly though. We're gonna bring the dry wet down a little bit, and I'll just show you what this sounds like now. So that's without, and then with. Really nice. I'm also just going to give the attack a little nudge as well. Just to kind of soften it up a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of reverb. This will really help to kind of put the sound in a space. We're going to boost the color a little bit as well, just to kind of brighten up the reverb. The next thing I'm going to do is just reduce the low shelf a little bit, because at the minute the low end is kind of dominating the sound a little bit too much. And there you have it, really. That's a really kind of nice 80s polysynth. There's a lot you could use this for. You know, it could be used in like trance, you know, even I guess like disco, like new disco, stuff like that. Maybe not so much like house, because it is a bit too much of like a nice sound for house. I mean, you could definitely probably make it work if you use, you know, like more like minor melodies or whatever. But yeah, just a really nice sound, really useful to be able to create sounds like this. Obviously, you could do your own thing with from this point as well. And yeah, hopefully you got a lot out of this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe and leave a like. It really helps support me and the channel. If you haven't done already, definitely go ahead and check out my website over at synthhacker.com and check out the mega packs that I have for Massive and Serum, and some new synths as well that will be popping up soon. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to leave them down below. But that's all from me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.